July 20th, 1969. A stickman is watching TV. On the screen, two guys in spacesuits bouncing around on the moon. The stickman is very excited. His neighbor is not. The neighbor, let's call him Gary, has a theory. Gary says this is fake, filmed in Hollywood, by Stanley Kubrick. Gary is very confident about this. Gary also thinks the Earth is flat, but that is a separate video. Here's the actual story. 1957. The Soviets launched Sputnik, a basketball-sized metal ball that went beep from space, and Americans collectively lost their minds. President Kennedy responded the way all great leaders respond to existential threats, by promising something impossible. We choose to go to the moon, he said. Mostly because the Soviets were doing it, and losing a space race is very embarrassing. What followed was the greatest engineering project in human history. 400,000 people, $20 billion, 8 years. 3 astronauts died in a launch pad fire in 1967 and they kept going. And then, on July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong stepped onto the surface of another world. 11 words. Then 3 minutes of OK Houston, we're seeing the lunar surface because it was really actually happening. Over the next 3 years, we went back 5 more times. Apollo 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. We brought back 842 pounds of moon rocks. We drove a moon buggy. Eugene Cernan left his daughter's initials in the lunar dust in December 1972, and they are still there. Because there's no wind. The last time a human stood on another world was December 11, 1972. And then, we just stopped. Why did we stop? Budget. The space race was over. America won. Nobody was keeping score anymore. Nixon canceled the final 3 planned Apollo missions and the money went elsewhere. It's like climbing Everest 6 times, planting a flag, and deciding you've made your point. Anyway, Gary, polls suggest somewhere between 5 and 20% of Americans believe the moon landings were faked. Some of these people vote. Some hold elected office. Let's go through Gary's evidence. Methodically, like adults. Conspiracy theory number 1. The flag was waving. Look at the footage, Gary says. Flags don't wave in a vacuum. There's no wind on the moon. This is true. But the flag was waving because Armstrong just planted it. In the absence of air resistance, things oscillate longer. The flag was vibrating, not flapping. There's a difference. Gary did not look this up. Conspiracy theory number 2. The shadows are wrong. Some shadows go one direction, some another. Proof of multiple studio light sources, or wide-angle lens on uneven terrain. The moon isn't flat. When photographers understand this, the conspiracy takes 40 seconds to disprove. The conspiracy theory was first published in 1976. We are still explaining it. Conspiracy theory number 3. No stars in the photos. If they were really in space, you'd see stars. Look, take your phone. Step outside at noon. Try to photograph a star. I'll wait. You can't. Because your camera's exposure is set for bright things. The lunar surface is in direct sunlight. Stars are faint. Photography doesn't work the way Gary thinks it works. Conspiracy theory number 4. The Van Allen radiation belts would have fried them alive. These are real. Massive bands of trapped radiation surrounding Earth. Going through them would kill you, except the Apollo missions spent about 30 minutes passing through each belt. Total radiation dose, equivalent to 1 chest X-ray. Lethal, Gary insists. Gary has never had an X-ray. And the greatest conspiracy of all, Stanley Kubrick filmed the fake moon landing as a favor to NASA, using techniques from 2001, A Space Odyssey. The evidence? A 2002 documentary, where an actor claiming to be his son confessed to it. Problem 1, it was intentional satire. Problem 2, Kubrick had 1 daughter, not a son. Problem 3, if we had faked it, the Soviets, who had every spy satellite pointed at us and desperately wanted proof we failed, would have announced it the next morning. They said nothing. Because it happened. The strongest evidence the moon landings were real is Russia. The biggest rival in the world, with everything to gain from exposing a fake, chose silence. Because there was nothing to expose. I'm sorry, Gary. The moon landings happened. You can go home. Now, let's talk about something actually interesting. The dark side of the moon. Which is, first of all, a bad name. The far side gets just as much sunlight as the near side. It's only dark in the sense that we can never see it from Earth. Pink Floyd aside, it's not actually dark. It's just facing the other way. The moon is tidally locked. It rotates at exactly the same speed it orbits, so the same face always points toward us. The far side has never been visible from Earth in all of human history. Nobody saw it until 1959, when a Soviet probe photographed it. What they found? Mostly craters. A lot of craters. Very few of the dark volcanic plains, called Maria, that cover the near side. It looks like the moon's nervous system but on the outside. Why does this matter? Two reasons. First, the outside is completely shielded from Earth's radio noise. A radio telescope there would be the most sensitive in the solar system, capable of hearing signals from the early universe, detecting distant planets, potentially searching for life without any interference. Second, water ice, specifically at the lunar South Pole. In 2009, NASA deliberately crashed a rocket stage into the lunar South Pole. Yes, on purpose. The debris plume was analyzed, and they found water ice, frozen in permanently shadowed craters, untouched by sunlight for potentially billions of years. Water means oxygen. Oxygen means breathable air, and hydrogen means rocket fuel. The moon is basically a gas station we drove past for 50 years. So why haven't we gone back? After 1972, NASA's budget was cut. Every president since Nixon has announced a return to the moon. Nixon shelved it. Gerald Ford ignored Nixon's shelved plans. Reagan commissioned a report. Bush Sr. announced the Space Exploration Initiative. Bush Jr. announced Constellation. Obama canceled Constellation. Trump announced Artemis. Biden kept Artemis. One of these actually led somewhere. Very slowly. After many, many delays. Artemis is NASA's current moon program. Named after Apollo's twin sister, which is cute. Artemis is NASA's current moon program. Named after Apollo's twin sister, which is cute. Artemis 1 launched November 2022, uncrewed test, flew around the moon, came back perfectly. The program existed. And then on April 1, 2026, yes, April Fool's Day, NASA's decision not ours, Artemis 2 launched from Kennedy Space Center, with 4 actual humans inside, headed for the moon. The crew, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, the first person of color on a lunar mission, mission specialist Christina Koch, the first woman ever to travel to the lunar vicinity, and Jeremy Hansen, the first Canadian in deep space. Free return trajectory. 9 days, 1 hour, they splashed down in the Pacific off San Diego on April 11, 2026. The first humans this far from Earth since Apollo 17 in December 1972. That's 53 years. On day 6, April 6, 2026, they passed the far side. Radio contact with Earth, gone. For several hours, 4 humans were completely unreachable. Behind the moon, out of reach of every signal. And they looked at the part of the lunar surface that no human being had ever seen with their own eyes in all of recorded history. Not a grainy Soviet satellite image. Not a rover photo. Actual human eyes, looking at something nobody had ever seen. They took photos. What comes next? Artemis 3, planned for mid-2027, is no longer a landing mission. NASA restructured it into an orbital docking test. The crew meets the SpaceX Starship lander and Blue Origin's lunar lander in orbit and tests the spacesuits. The actual landing has been pushed to Artemis 4. There is no confirmed date for Artemis 4. This is, apparently, fine. Everything is fine. Why does this matter? Because the moon is step 1. Once you can get there efficiently, you build infrastructure. Fuel depots, waypoints, outposts. You're not planting flags anymore. You're building a road. Mars is the destination. The moon is the rest stop where you fill up. After 50 years of promising to go back, we are actually, genuinely, slowly going back. Here is the quietly uncomfortable truth. We went to the moon 50 years ago with computers less powerful than a modern thermostat, with slide rules and index cards and 400,000 people doing math by hand. The fact that we haven't been back isn't because it's impossible, it's because we chose not to. Budget is a choice. Priorities are choices. We chose to stop. We're choosing to go back. So, in simple terms, we went to the moon. 6 times, left 842 pounds of rocks. Stopped for 50 years because budgets and politics. 2 weeks ago, Artemis 2 flew. Humans saw the far side for the first time in history. Artemis 4 will land, eventually. The far side has craters, water ice, and potentially the best radio telescope location in the solar system. Gary still thinks it was faked. Gary is fine. Gary has his truth. If you want more of whatever this is, subscribe button's right there. Or don't. I'm a stick man, not a cop.